So you're thinking about making a move to Kirkland, Washington, but before you do, you want to find out everything you can about the pros and the cons, the good and the bad, and everything in between. Well, that's exactly what we're going to be covering in today's video. I'm going to be going over the good and the bad of living in Kirkland, Washington. So if that's something you want to learn more about, we're getting after it right now. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything about living, working, eating, playing in the city of Seattle, Washington, and surrounding areas like Kirkland, then subscribe down below, tap that bell for notifications so you could be the first to learn about the current market here in Seattle. My name is David Sappenfield. The team and I, we get calls, texts, and emails every day from people just like you looking for help to make their move here to Seattle, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're moving next week or next year, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, schedule a Zoom call. Our contact information can be found in the description right down below. We're happy to help you make that smooth move to Seattle. So, as I had mentioned, we're going to be talking about the pros and the cons, the good and the bad of living in Kirkland, Washington. So first we're going to start out with the pros. I have 4 pros for you, and then we're going to slide into the cons. I got another 4 cons for you. So, Kirkland's a great place to live, but there's also some stuff about it that might be a deal breaker for you. So let's get into it. Kirkland's a fantastic suburb about 15 to 20 minutes northeast of downtown Seattle. It has about 92,000 residents in the city of Kirkland, and the median home value for homes in the Kirkland area are going to be right around the $1.1 to $1.2 million mark. As you move into some of the southern neighborhoods in Kirkland, it definitely gets a little more expensive. So the further north you go in Kirkland, the more affordable it's going to be. The further south you're going to go, it's going to get way more expensive. So just keep that in mind. Median household income for the city of Kirkland is right around $122,000. And I'm going to really quickly read off to you some of the popular website niche.com's rankings for the city of Kirkland. So niche.com gives Kirkland an overall grade of A+. And breaking it down by category, the public schools, which Kirkland is serviced by the Lake Washington School District, they get an A+ for public schools. For housing, they get a C, because housing is a little bit more expensive in the Kirkland area. Good for families, they get an A B- for crime and safety. They get an A for nightlife and an A- for diversity. Some of Niche's rankings for Kirkland has Kirkland number 3 of 183 for best suburbs for young professionals in Washington. It ranks Kirkland as number 10 for best suburbs to live in Washington. Places with the best public schools in Washington, Kirkland ranks number 13 out of 288. Pro number 1 is Kirkland's beautiful location. Now, a lot of Kirkland is located on the eastern shores of Lake Washington, and with that, you get a lot of beautiful waterfront properties. Kirkland has a ton of lakefront beach parks that you can go and enjoy, sandy beaches, docks to swim off of. There's sidewalks and walking paths that run along the lake. The downtown area of Kirkland is beautiful. It's just located right off of the shores of Lake Washington there in the marina. Just a beautiful, picturesque part of the Pacific Northwest is right here in Kirkland. Plenty of walking trails. If you're an outdoor enthusiast, you're going to have a lot of options when it comes to just getting out, enjoying that picturesque beauty that I was talking about. And Kirkland is just one of the most beautiful cities in the Seattle area. Pro number 2 is Kirkland's strong economy. Did you know that Kirkland is home to the #1 search engine in the world, and that's Google? Yes, Google has its main campus, main headquarters in the Houghton neighborhood of Kirkland. And there's also several other offices scattered throughout Kirkland, but Microsoft also has a presence in Kirkland, along with several other startup companies that call Kirkland home. So lots of employment opportunity, very strong economy, employment opportunity, especially if you're in the high-tech industry. You're going to have a lot to choose from in the Kirkland area. Now, Kirkland is also very conveniently located near Bellevue and Redmond. Okay, so Redmond, you'll see, Microsoft headquarters. Bellevue, ton of Microsoft locations in Bellevue as well, along with other startup companies just like Kirkland. So a ton of employment opportunity in the Kirkland area, and just a really, really big reason why that is pro number 2. Pro number 3 is the quality of life you get by living in Kirkland. In 2022, Money Magazine named Kirkland the 3rd best city in the entire United States to live in. Now, Seattle Times, they wrote an article. I'm going to pull that up on the screen here for you real quick. Kirkland ranked 3rd best place to live in U.S. by Money Magazine. Now, pretty big honors to the city of Kirkland, and it sounds like they used 9 different factors when choosing these cities, but the 9 factors that were included were cost of living, the economic opportunity, education, diversity, and the local housing market, and overall quality of life. So, fantastic spot to live. You might be curious about what other cities kind of made that top 6 list, and we have it right here. Number 1 being Atlanta, Georgia. Number 2 was Tempe, Arizona, and falling in below, 4th, 5th, and 6th place, we had Raleigh, North Carolina in 4, Rogers Park, Chicago in 5, and Columbia, Maryland in 6th place. So Kirkland, fantastic place to live, super high quality of life. You have lots of choices of things you want to do for entertainment, nightlife, food, just a great city to live in. Pro number 4 is a vibrant downtown. Now, Kirkland might not be as big as the surrounding cities like Bellevue or Redmond, but what Kirkland does have is a very walkable, vibrant downtown area. Probably one of the most walkable cities in all of the Seattle area suburbs. In the downtown area, you have many choices when it comes to restaurants, very, very high-end, nice 5-star dining type restaurants, all the way down to quick grab and go, just take your food, maybe walk down to the beach there on Lake Washington. So really just a whole lot of activities that you can do all within walking distance in that downtown core area. They also have the new Kirkland Urban, which is that mixed use development. They have a couple different restaurants in there. They have a Shake Shack. They have a Top Golf Lounge, Google offices that are there. And then you also have Peter Kirk Park, which is baseball field, basketball courts, skate park. You have a swimming pool, the public library, all right there, a performing arts center. So pretty much anything that you could imagine wanting to do, you can do right there in downtown Kirkland. And it's just a fantastic place to go and spend the day. Okay, time to switch it up a little bit here and talk about the cons of living in Kirkland. And our first con is going to be the cost of living, specifically for housing in the Kirkland area. Now, if you're looking at Kirkland on a map, the northern part of Kirkland is probably the most affordable part of Kirkland and easiest to get into from an entry level price point. The further south you go, the more expensive, the more affluent the neighborhoods become, okay? So in the northern part of Kirkland, you have Juanita, you have Kingsgate. You can find smaller homes, entry-level, first-time home buyer range homes in that 700, 800 plus range. The further south you go, like I was saying though, it gets a little more expensive. You do still have Finn Hill, which is on the west side of Kirkland, which isn't quite as expensive as some of those other southern neighborhoods in Kirkland. So, Finn Hill is kind of just a step above as far as price point is concerned of Juanita and Kingsgate. But as you slide a little bit further south, you run into east of Market, west of Market, which is going to be your 2 million, 3 million plus, multi-million dollar beautiful view homes. You also have the Highlands neighborhood, which, you're looking 1.5 million plus for a decent home in there. And then, of course, you have Houghton. Houghton, you're definitely looking 1.5 or above. And the same with Bridal Trails. So Bridal Trails, 1.5 all the way up to, 10, 15 million. I'm sure there's lots of homes that have sold in there in that price point. So pretty big range there, though. So basically, the further north you go, the more affordable it gets. But as a whole, Kirkland, you're looking around 1.2 for your median home value. But if you want to live in that south end of Kirkland, it's going to be a lot more than that. Con number 2 is it gets crowded in the summertime. So kind of like what I was talking about with that pro of being very walkable, it's also a con if you think of it to where people, when the sun is out, they're coming down to Kirkland because it's kind of that beachfront community right on Lake Washington there. Lots of restaurants, lots of bars, lots of beach, a lot of areas to just hang out, spend the day, catch some rays, go swim. So it does get very crowded in the summertime. And then even in the summertime when the sun goes down, there's a decent amount of nightlife in the Kirkland area. So, you're going to have people hanging out at bars, restaurants, just having fun. So it's the worst in the summertime. In the wintertime, it's not that bad, but you can expect on a warm, sunny summer day that Kirkland is going to be bustling, lots of people everywhere. So don't let it surprise you. Con number 3 is the limited public transportation. Now, Kirkland does have bus routes. You're going to be able to catch buses in that main downtown area of Kirkland and, the neighborhoods. The further out from the core that you get, the fewer bus stops and bus routes that you're going to have. But Kirkland is not going to be, at this point, on the light rail line. So that new light rail extension, you're going to have to go into Redmond, into Bellevue to catch light rail, which luckily Kirkland is pretty conveniently located to those light rail stations. So you're only gonna have to travel 10, 15 minutes or so. But it would be nice if Kirkland had a little more options for public transportation. Uber, Lyft, stuff like that has gotten much more popular in the last 5-10 years. So, that's less important, I guess, to some people. But if you're dependent on public transportation, riding buses, then, you might be a little bit limited living in Kirkland. Con number 4 is the travel time to highways, freeway access from certain neighborhoods within Kirkland, okay? Not all of them. Some of them are super convenient and you're right there, able to get on the freeway very quickly. But there are a couple different neighborhoods in the Kirkland area that you do have to travel a little bit further. And the first one that I want to talk about is Finn Hill. And Finn Hill is really quiet, really nice. You see a lot of single family homes, older homes. You see a few new construction here and there, but for the most part, you're going to be, homes built in the 60s and 70s and, very established neighborhood up in the Finn Hill area, and as well as Holmes Point. Holmes Point is, a lot of waterfront homes, water view homes. So you're just tucked off the freeway path a little bit. You're going to have to travel 10 or 15 minutes or so just to get to the freeway from those neighborhoods, which, if you're not commuting a lot, that might not be a big deal for you. But if you do have to use the freeway daily in your commute, then I could see where living in Finn Hill or those Holmes Point neighborhoods could start to get a little annoying as far as to and from the freeway every day. And another neighborhood, which isn't quite as far off of the freeway as Finn Hill would be, is just the Highlands neighborhood, which, you know, it only has one access point into into the Highlands neighborhood, which is at the southern edge of where the 85th Street exit is. And then you have to kind of wind up and all the way back through the neighborhood, which again, it's not that bad. You're looking probably 4 or 5 minute drive. It just kind of seems that you're, you know, having to kind of funnel your way down to that one section just to get out, and then you're, you know, right there on busy 85th there to get on the highway. So not as bad as Finn Hill, Holmes Point. You know, Finn Hill, Holmes Point are in that kind of west side of Kirkland. And then the Highlands neighborhood is there right off of the 85th Street exit, but kind of tucked back up there a little bit further. The further north you go in that Highlands neighborhood, the tougher it gets to kind of make your way down to the freeway. So again, not too bad, but just want you to be aware that you got to travel a little bit longer to get to the highway in some of those neighborhoods. So what did you think the biggest con on that list was to you? I'd love to hear from you. Drop it down in the comment section down below. And you know, hey, as much as I love making these videos for you, the one thing I love even more is helping you with your real estate needs. And you know, whether you're moving next week, next year, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, schedule a Zoom call. We're happy to help you make that smooth move to Seattle. Until next time, hope to show you around town. Take care. Bye.